Probably over the winter sometime.
And then you perform have the inbreeding around that they need. And that was what he brought to the European theater as well. You could go from 7th Army or one other army and go into Patton's army, and you saw the difference immediately. And he enforced the rules, they didn't follow the rules. They didn't like it. All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, how the hell are you? I normally ask you to stand up, but they're too crowded, so you stay seated. I don't know about you. All right, and if bad language bothers you, you're in the wrong tent. You need to leave now. If it doesn't bother you, you're probably in the right tent. So I'm going to have a seat right here. You've got my back. All right. Oh. We ready, General? I'm ready. Okay. All right. G3? Okay, sir. Captain Blackie's going to give the G3 brief. As you know, as you were, G3 is down at that meeting in with Montgomery, so. Well, you're the substitute.
Sir.
I understand you're a good man. Give me a good report.
Do my best, sir. Good afternoon, General. Ladies and gentlemen of the press. Talk about 3rd Army operations as we advance across Europe here.
Now, I want you to speak up. Those people in the back won't have to hurry, and the people behind them talking need to shut up.
Roger that.
Where's the MPs?
General, we've been receiving heavy artillery fire in the Hickory sector around Flynn, primarily German 105 and 150 millimeter fire. Now, right now, the engineers on the bridge at Flynn are forced to withdraw their equipment while we fired 23 counter battery missions from Corps artillery. Comet, on the other hand, continues to improve our bridgeheads over the Moselle. And the counter battery has largely suppressed the enemy artillery fire in that sector. Now, in the 20 Corps area of operations, over the past 24 hours, Comet artillery has fired 150 rounds of 155, 100 rounds of 8-inch, 25 rounds of 240 howitzer ammunition, all on Fort Jean d'Arc. A number of direct hits were retained, and the battle damage report destroying 2 casemates and an ammunition dump. Additionally, after firing 107 rounds of 155 at the shelters and casements at Fort Kellerman, the only result was chipped concrete. 19 TACAR also put the P-47s with 1,000-pounders and napalm on it to no noticeable effect. The missions in the Metz region did, however, destroy rail marshalling yards and a number of assorted military targets. We've made some limited advances around Fort Driant, but the heavy enemy artillery concentrations from the neighboring forts get our men pinned down right away, and they haven't been able to hold on to the gains they've made. What questions do we have?
All right, first thing, when I was driving up here,
sir,
I passed 2 of our ammunition dumps.
Sir?
And they were largely overflowing, yet we're short of ammunition. If one of those Luftwaffe come over and have a direct hit, we're going to be even shorter. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take those ammunition dumps, and I want you to divide them into about the groups of 10, each one of the dumps. And then I want you to have them set up across the road, way away from each other. So if they hit one of our ammunition dumps, they will not hit all of them. I don't mind losing a little, but I'm not going to lose the whole goddamn thing.
Understood.
That's 1. 2, you were talking about getting across the Moselle.
Correct.
The last pontoon bridge I crossed had a lot of tanks behind me, and not one of them was marked as to weight, and the half tracks were not weight. We have these nice little yellow things that we made with numbers on them. Our MPs need to be able to look at those numbers in a hurry and see how much weight is on those pontoon bridges. I do not want to lose a pontoon bridge because we overweighted. The other thing is they're slowing down on those pontoon bridges. Those pontoon bridges will take 20 to 30 miles an hour, and I expect them to take 20 to 30 miles an hour. And you tell the colonel who's in charge of the MPs that if that doesn't happen, we're going to have a new colonel.
Roger that. Yes, sir.
Now, we've got some POWs.
Sir.
We've got a lot of heavy boxes that need to be moved, and one of the things that's slowing down the Red Ball Express is the loading and unloading of it. So I want you to get some of those POWs, guard them, let them know they'll be shot if they run, don't shoot them because we need them, and have them load those trucks and get some gasoline into the field.
That'd be a good job for Red Ball Express, sir.
Would be a good job for Red Ball Express. The next 300 or 400 German soldiers you find, we're getting a lot of those damn kids, right? They're running out of men and they're putting kids. Those kids are pretty strong, 16, 17-year-old kids. They can do a lot. They're not going to know about escaping or anything else, so just grab onto their ass, put them in there, and let them load and unload.
Sir.
And be nice to them.
Yeah, be nice to them. Tell them we'll give them a candy bar.
Yeah. Snickers.
That concludes my briefing. Any other questions?
That'll do it. Let's have the next one.
All right. Let me ask you him.
My intelligence officer. Where's Colonel Koch?
He was unable to make it due to illness, sir.
Tell him he only has 24 hours to be ill, then he has to get back on the clock.
Yes, sir.
All right, what you got?
I got here, sir,
You bring your readers?
no, I didn't.
Would you like to borrow mine?
I got some right here, sir.
It would be an honor, sir.
Remember, he's filling in. He's not a normal.
I've read his MOS. He's not normal.
Yeah.
And he's in my intelligence group.
Well, I hope to make that a little different, sir.
All right.
But what we got here, sir, is that oh crap. 35th Division and 4th Armored Divisions repulsed a counterattack near Nancy, about 13 miles north of Nancy yesterday.
Remember, sir, 12th Corps is in the process of, taking Nancy.
I want Nancy taken. I want it taken quickly.
We will, sir. We're getting pretty close to it.
General, I want you to get a hold of your counterpart in 12th Corps and tell them that Patton has ordered Nancy to be taken as quickly as possible.
I have talked to General Eddie this morning, sir, and put a little fire under him.
Tell him I'm going to put a lot of fire under him if it's not taken quickly.
Yes, sir.
I also want to mention something that the 4th Armor has been trying out, and that is using observation planes, the L5s, to go over the enemy preceding attacks by the 4th Armor. And their radios are connected to directly to our CPs. Okay, I'm sorry.
Remember, that son of a bitch way back there and I sitting outside the tent, he can't hear your ass, so talk up louder.
Yes, sir! Okay, will do. 4th Armor has been using observation planes, or L5s, to fly over the enemy preceding attacks. These are in direct communication with those CPs to allow their commanders to decide where to hit first, where to hit next. They're delivering information on enemy strength, who's there, what's there, the supply routes, and any directions that they're going in.
Yes, I want you to send the 6th Cav in there, our Army Information Service. We're having trouble with radios, and we're having trouble keeping our connections with our hot wires and our field phones. So if you'll send them there, they can get there within just an hour or so, get them a verbal report, have them come back to my headquarters and have them tell me directly what's going on. I'll have it a lot quicker than the time they take to decode all those messages.
Yes, sir. Will do. So our last part is the Tactical Air Command. They've been doing a bang-up job over the enemy, sir. They've taken out yesterday several rail depots, railroad bridges, personnel units, train engines, train cars, and 2 military installations. Excellent job, sir.
Now I'm going to give an order. I'm going to have O.B. Wyman, who's your commander, the 19th Air Tactical Command. I'm going to have him here tomorrow at the headquarters. But I want you to have a temporary message sent to him that I want to see him, and that they're going to cover our flanks. We are moving way too fast to worry about our right flank. We'll just send the 19th Air Tactical around our right flank before they go to their objective. We have the FM radios now. We have enough communications as the Germans are coming off on our right flank. Because I'm not sending another division to watch our right flank. We don't have the time. We're making a pincer movement now, and we're going to head as fast as we can into Germany. if I wait for people to see who's on my right flank, I know what's on the left flank. We are. So, and I know what's the rear behind us. We've killed them. But it's that right flank I'm worried about. So you have O.P. Wyman, 19th Air Tactical Command, if he has to, cut a spare 47s and go through that area to get any German emplacement, have them taken cameras, send it to you at G2, have those photographs enlarged, and let's pinpoint those places. If I have to, I'll get with Doolittle and have heavies in there and bomb our right flank, so we don't have to worry about them sons of bitches hitting us from the flank. You got all that?
Got that, sir.
Now write it down before you lose your glasses again.
Are they running
sir.
into a lot of forest positions?
Pardon, sir.
A lot of positions in the forest? The Germans got a lot of them up there?
Yes, they do. They have been
Recommend
reinforced.
General O.P. that they use napalm in there, burn those forests out.
Yes, sir. Can do.
That's and also after they've had a taste of the napalm, I want you to send the gasoline truck over there, just one, they'll do, and explain to them that we plan to put the didn't that Nazi son of a bitch say he wasn't going to surrender?
That's correct, sir.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to bring a gasoline truck full of gasoline, just one, so he can see it. If you have to, take a goddamn picture of it and make sure he knows it's there. And tell him we're going to pour the gasoline down all of his air holes, and if he don't surrender, we're going to barbecue his ass.
Yes, sir. We can do it.
Well, you do that. Tell him you're going to have to, if he doesn't, I'm going to have to surrender to some folks he don't want to have to surrender to.
Yes, sir. I'll take care of it myself.
Well,
And
you should.
preferably, he won't surrender.
Roasted throats.
All right, you got that?
Got that, sir.
You need to write it down?
Nope, I got
You
it.
need to borrow your
sir.
glasses?
Sir, I think I'll do just fine.
I think you will too. Next time, show up with your glasses.
I sure will.
All right.
Thank you.
At least he could find his glasses.
All right, sir. Got a prisoner. Sir. Oh. Give him a chair. Give him a chair. Bring that chair over.
Give him a chair. He's a German general. He can't find his ass. Let's place him sit down. Have a seat.
I wish to speak to the commanding officer here.
You're speaking to him. General Patton at your service.
General.
Don't I give a salute? Not that Nazi salute. That one. That's the Army salute. Have a seat.
There's a souvenir, sir.
Oh, I got another pistol. This is a nice pistol. Have you shot it?
9.
9? I didn't think you was at the front. All right. I'm going to sit down and you're going to talk. All right? Now, I got questions for you.
Yes.
Do you understand English?
A bit, yeah.
Do you know you don't have to talk to me? You know your rights under the Geneva Convention?
Naturally. Yeah.
Are you willing to talk to me anyway?
Yeah, I'll talk to you.
All right, I'm going to ask you some questions. The first thing I want to know is, you know you're losing the war. There's a map behind you showing that we're just cutting the Germans to hell in the handbasket. We'll probably be in Berlin before the end of 1944. So why in the hell, in your troops know it, are they still fighting?
We have a number of wonder weapons that will be coming online. They will throw you back.
Look, I've
Throw
seen
you
those
back
wonder
into the
weapons.
channel.
I'm wondering what y'all are wondering about. There's not much to them. You got so what? You got a little missile comes over. I've seen that crap you dropped on England. It goes put, quits and falls down. You don't know where the hell it's going to go. And you're going to tell me you got something better than that?
I believe that we do have General.
Tell me something. Have you been taking any of those pills that the troops have been taking?
Pervitin, yeah, it keeps me awake.
Yeah, it does more than that. It fries your brain. All right, look. You're a professional soldier, are you not?
Yeah,
How long have you been in the service?
since 1913.
Since 1913.
Yeah.
Now you realize this war is lost, don't you? Forget the wonder weapons.
Things are not looking good at the moment.
So you can do your fellow troops a good service and call back to one of your counterparts. Look, it's no crime, it's no you're not diminishing your troop if they surrender to Patton. I'm the best goddamn general in the Army. So they're not surrendering to some has-been or wannabe. They're surrendering to the best. So it will not hurt their pride to surrender to 3rd Army. If they don't surrender to 3rd Army, we're going to bury their ass all the way from here to Berlin. We're not going to take many prisoners. So they got little choice.
We have heard of you, Herr General.
I know you have. I respect the German soldiers for professional soldiers. There is no reason they have to die for a dead cause. We're going to get to Germany, and when we get there, I'm going to personally shoot that paper-hanging son of a bitch, just like I would a snake.
I have a suggestion for you, Herr General.
What's that?
Why not have our forces surrender to the Western forces and then we can fight against Bolsheviks.
If I told you what I think about that, they'd try to court-martial my ass right now. Yeah, we'll be in private after the war and we'll talk. Now, the war is over for you. We're going to send you over to our mess hall. We're going to give you some food. I'm going to treat you to the officers' mess hall. Then they're going to send you to they're going to send you over to England. They got a house just for all the German generals. You'll like it. They go slow, use two-syllable words, and repeat themselves often. Dismissed.
Danke, Herr General.
Hold on, please.
What?
We have some of our allies that are going to escort him out.
Russians? Russische Truppen?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Nein.
Wait.
Wart mal auf.
Whoa,
Wait.
Didn't I hear that your unit was on the Russian front?
At one time we were, yes.
All right, now we're going to give you another choice. Since you're not too familiar, you're not giving us the right information. I have 2 Russian soldiers behind you. They're very good at interrogation. Now I can turn them over to them and they can take you back to Russia to answer for the war crimes and the rapes and the murders, or you can go with my G2 and explain all the stuff you know. Here's your choice.
Herr General, please do not turn me over to those barbarians.
Well, at last
what they are like.
Yes, I do, and we agree. They're barbarians. I'd love to turn your ass over to them.
No,
now,
I beseech you not to do that.
Would you like to go to my intelligence officer, my G2?
I think that may be a good idea.
I think so. Now, they're going to be standing by right outside, and if you don't give the right answers and if they don't check out, you'll still go with them.
I will give the correct answers.
All right, we'll check it out.
I have no desire to see Russia again.
They don't desire you see Russian again either. You won't make it back.
We shall see, Comrade General, huh?
Yeah, okay, so I think we're done with him.
All right, take him out.
Danke, Herr General.
Yeah, thanks for the pistol.
Sicher.
Now, I'm going to give you a little history. That sounded a little odd.
It's true.
Patton had an intelligence group assigned with him that were all Jewish officers, and many of them spoke fluent Russian. So he put them in Russian uniforms and threatened to be these people to go back to be interrogated. He wouldn't have done it if they didn't know it. So they were afraid that they would go back to Russia, and he had Jewish interpreters who really hated the Germans. So they knew what to ask and how to ask it. And so that type of interrogation that worked well, he got lots of information that way. And to hell with the German Geneva Convention as far as he thought. I guess the guy's going to want his pistol back, although it's nice. I'll see if he asks for it. All right. I know, you were interrupted. Go ahead.
That's fine, sir. Colonel. I have the G1 report. General, our current strength is 2,600 troops short. The 5th Division, near Metz, is short by 440.
Incoming.
35th Division.
Close to the front.
What happens when they don't talk?
35th Division is short
Trying to run.
220. 79th Division is short 770. 80th Division is short 740. 4th Armored is short 270, and 6th Armored is short 160. Replacement battalions are providing troops, but the units are not reporting the arrivals properly. So we're not sure about those numbers that I just gave you. We're having a paperwork difficulty. The troops are being sent in, but the numbers are not matching up from the people sending the troops versus the units receiving the troops. They're a little bit busy, sir.
Are they by chance getting off the train and trying to make their way to Paris?
I don't believe so, sir.
I hope not. You might want to check with the Provost Marshal. Maybe they increase patrols around that general area.
That's a good idea, sir, I think. Part of the problem, we have a bit of a battle going on over trucks. We don't have that many trucks. The roads are extremely wet, and we're having to decide, do we want to ship artillery and gas and ammunition, or do we want to ship troops? So It's a
I
big
got a
competition.
solution to that. Finish your report.
All right. We're going to be meeting with the supply depots to make sure that the paperwork starts to match up in the future. Do you want me to talk to General Hare about this, or just carry on? All right.
Not only do you talk to him, write down on the secret phone exactly what he said. I want to see what he had to say.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Now we believe the situation will be in hand very, very shortly. We're going to find out where this glitch is happening. Okay. And continuing my report, the 90th Division that's been northwest of Metz got pretty badly beat up trying to take Fort Driant and some of the other forts near Metz. And they would like to get prepared to take more of those forts and get more bridge rates over the Moselle. So they are requesting that their troop strength be increased from 100 to 200%. With your permission, sir.
All right, let me give you a partial solution. I will stand up so everybody can hear me. We have quite a few of our black troops who were arrested in England. They were put in stockade for some bullshit because they couldn't get into our own SOSs or our own clubs. You get their asses out here. Put them in deuce in the house, get them out here. That was bullshit. They shouldn't have been arrested to begin with. They're American soldiers. I want them here. And you get them in front of me.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, there's about 1,000 troops that are in the jail for one friggin' reason. They didn't salute some asshole, second lieutenant, they put him in the brig. I need all those troops. There's about 1,000 of them. I want them rounded up from all the brigs, and I want those deuce in the house come here. So when we get the black troops here and we get the 1,000 troops here, we're going to have a lot of deuce in the house that we need. We're not sending the deuce in the house back, we're keeping them and the troops. Now, I understand the 767th or 763rd black group is a black tank battalion.
Correct,
and they're going around in circles in the U.S. because nobody will take them. I'll take them. They're probably the best trained troops. They've been training for a fucking year, so they're going to be good. Send their ass over here. We're putting them in the Army.
I think they'll do wonderful, sir.
All right, next.
Okay.
Afternoon, speak up.
Weather conditions have precluded the RAF and Army Air Corps from making any support. We've lost 4 cargo planes when they overshot the runway at Detain. Back here. We lost 20,000 blankets, 10,000 liters, and 375 oxygen containers. Lucky received only 2,500 blankets, 1,000 liters, and 100 oxygen. We've also advised by Eagle that particles of ammunition, food, and finally P.O.W. We don't anticipate this impacting replacements at this time. How long do you?
I know where you're going with this. I read the earlier report. Here, you don't have to read it. I know what I want you to do. I want you to send a communique up our chain of command over to General Lee. He's got 2 blocks in Paris full of equipment. These are warehouses that are several stories high, and he's got a train track right across the damn street from his ass. You tell him, well, you can't, but you get General Hughes to tell him that to load those trains up with the blankets and the medical supply and everything else, and start down those tracks. I will have our engineer group have those tracks repaired by the time the trains get here, so we can have those supplies. And you tell him that I'm going to send the report and the request directly to Eisenhower. So if he doesn't act, Eisenhower is going to ask why the hell he didn't. Can you do that?
Yes, sir.
All right. I think you just about got it. Don't you?
Yes, sir.
Is that all?
We have arranged for transport and replacements using the 53rd Regiment Replacement Battalion vehicles from the 17th Regiment Depot at Argersville until the replacement transportation issue is resolved.
Well, I think I got the rest of the report. Let me tell you, we're fixing to have it resolved. You weren't here earlier. We're going to have a whole bunch of new deuce in the house full of soldiers here shortly, and they're not going back.
Yes, sir.
So we're taken care of. General Hughes, would you get him to go and get that communique started to General Lee?
Sure.
And have him make sure that that report that he just gave me is copied and given to General Lee, because when Eisenhower sees that all that crap that he's got stored there is not coming out here, and I'd like to see, get to Beetle Smith. Tell Beetle Smith, that worthless piece of garbage that's under Eisenhower, you tell him that I want the entire supply of the Army moved out to the field. It's too damn far to get our troops what they need. It's going to get cold this winter. I want the equipment here.
Right.
Thank you.
How do you want that sent? So you want a flash message or immediate?
Both. I want you to write it out, send it by courier, and make him sign for the
Send it
damn
by
thing.
courier and flash message. Don't
That's
be
right.
jumping.
All right. Can you do that?
Top secret or plain language?
Make it simple. He's a supply.
Plain language. All right, sir. You have a representative from the field hospital.
Oh, good. I want to
Come
speak
in.
to them. Have them come
Thank you,
in.
Colonel. Appreciate it. Captain? She's going to give you an update on casualties and all that, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Captain Poland from the 130th Field Hospital. We currently have 6,321 walking wounded. We have 2,780 2,780 waiting to be evacuated. And killed in action, 1,664. Also, we are low in whole blood, we are low in bandages, and especially low in morale.
Well, we can fix part of that.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to have the Army band come there and play whatever goddamn tunes those soldiers want to hear. They know.
Swell.
They used to be the 6th Cavalry band, and then I stole them and put them as our Army band. I'll send them over. And the ones that can walk, have some of your nurses take them out and let them get close to the band. That'll take care of some of the morale. Now, as far as getting them out of the emergency evac into a field hospital, how many ambulances do you have?
Not enough.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take them. Those that can be moved. We're going to take our jeep. We got lots of jeeps. We got some lieutenants that got jeeps assigned to them. Okay, we're going to take them away. We'll weld some places on them. We'll put stretchers on them. I'll send you an army of jeeps. The ones that we're worried about. Excuse me, I ate some of the mess hall. What we're going to do then is we'll take the jeeps. We have some weasels we can put them on. Hell, if it rolls in its 4-wheel, we'll get it to your evac hospitals. I want you to tag the ones that you see getting worse.
Yes, sir.
For Paris. And Paris doesn't know it yet, but they're going to have a train track going from Paris to where we are. And as soon as it gets there, we're going to evacuate those that needed to go to Paris. Then they can go back to the States, because some of them aren't coming back. They got one-way tickets. And I know you didn't mention it, but grave registration is tough, and you don't have enough people.
No.
So I'm going to send a whole bunch of our POWs over there to help you with grave registration. They can see what the hell they've done and maybe be sorry for it later. I doubt it, but we'll make them do it.
With all due respect, how do I protect my women, sir?
Well,
If they give you a problem, shoot them. I mean, that's not a problem. You know, they were escaping. You understand how to do the paperwork, don't you?
Excuse me, sir, but we just got a couple more replacement companies, military police, all assigned one company to the hospital.
Good. And we got some new 45s we just got in, too, making sure they're loaded. I know they're non-combatants, but we can put non-combatants in with them, and, you know, accidents happen.
I'll have them issue
I don't think we're going to send you some young POWs. They're what the Nazi youth is what
Nazi
they were.
youth, yes.
Yeah, some of them are pretty well indoctrinated. Just act like a mom to them. They haven't been treated nice in a long time. All right.
We'll have special services get you some baseball bats.
Even better.
All right. So, you know, put them to work.
Can do.
And then those that don't work, put them back in the stockade. We'll put them in cages with the rest of them. All right.
All right.
We
All
got
right, done. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your report.
Sir, you wanted a report from the our Navy detachment regarding the crossing in the Moselle.
You see, you didn't know the Navy was in the Army, did you? They didn't either until shortly after ago. Yes, sir.
Sir,
Commander.
that's, you needed
I needed the Navy?
You needed it.
Yeah, you got a point.
That's
there.
right, sir. Remember we talked about that.
Yeah, we did. I did need the Navy.
Yes, sir.
But the report is, we hear you're getting close to the Rhine and you need help getting across it. So we're bringing up landing craft and everything, with big trucks overland, and we're overseeing the Army Corps of Engineers, building pontoons, so we can build bridges.
They need to speak up. Some of these people here are hard of hearing.
I'm yelling at my troops all day long. I can't yell anymore.
I'll tell them what you said.
Okay. Other than that, we got it covered. Can do.
Look, when I was on board the ship, some of your chief petty officers were damn better than any sergeants I've ever had. Are you going to send some of those guys?
Yes, I am. They're going to be in charge.
Oh yeah.
Then we'll get across with no problem.
No problem.
Now, I am going to mount some 30s on the back of your LSTs. Maybe some
Sounds good.
50s.
Sounds good.
All right. And
I hear
we'll
you
see-
might want us to be in Army uniforms. What's up with that?
Well, you know,
Security.
Oh, security.
Security.
it's security, and you know, we want them to make it back in one piece. I'm afraid the Navy, you know, they want to swim a lot. We don't want them to swim.
No can do.
All right, okay. But you can have the Navy insignia on the Army fatigues if you like.
All right, Jim.
All right, did a good job. All right, thank you. Now, let me tell you what just happened. Did you know that Patton had a Navy? You didn't, did you?
Had a detachment of sailors assigned.
And when he crossed all of those large rivers and places, he had landing crafts, many of them that actually had gone into Normandy. And they had the Navy. Remember, the Navy ran the landing crafts in there. He brought the landing crafts and those men with him, and he used them to cross many of the rivers. And they were under his command. So, isn't that an interesting part of history that you didn't know? And when I ran across it, and I was reading this, I go, damn, he even had a Navy. And after the war, the Navy gave him posthumously one of their higher awards. I can't remember exactly what it was, because of his being able to tie the Army and the Navy and the Air Corps all into one fighting unit, which it had never been before. So he was not, like the movie wants you to think, an old guy, you know, that believed in old tactics. He was the most modern general we had ever had at the time, because he knew what they needed to do, and he didn't believe in the rules either. He said they had 4 guys in the Jeep, and there was about 5 more wanting to get on. They said, well, you can't get on, you're gonna hurt the Jeep. He said, God damn it, I'm the one who helped write the specs for the Jeep. You can put 12 men on the damn thing. Put them on there and get them out. I can replace the Jeep, I can't replace the men. You see what I mean? He was a practical man. He wanted to get it done. Do we got anybody else coming?
Yes, sir. You've got a representative from PRO would like to talk to you.
Bring him in. By the way, this briefing always took place from 9 to 9:30 every day. And he was there to hear whatever happened, and then he would make some snap decisions, and his men knew how to write it all out properly. All he had to do was give the order. He might give one order, take Mets, but it was they would take care of it. Yes, ma'am.
So nice to meet you. I have a few questions.
Control yourself.
Just such an honor to be in your presence.
Try not to self-destruct. Let's go.
What can you tell the folks at home?
I'm sorry?
What can you tell the folks at home?
Very little. I'm under rules not to say anything, but I will say a few things off the record.
Of course.
We're gonna take them Germans. I'm going all the way to Berlin. I'm gonna patiently shoot that paper hanging son of a bitch. Now, when I can't tell you, but I tell you what we can tell the folks back home. We have the finest young men and women in uniform that the world has ever seen. Their morale is high. They're ready to fight. Many of them have already given their lives so that we can be free. You tell them, I understand that freedom is not free, it comes with a price. And these young men who are fighting out there, they will always be known, maybe not to us, but they'll be known to God. And every year when we go to the tomb of the unknown soldier, we will pray that we never ever have to fight another war. And you tell those people back home that we enjoy their support. If it wasn't for them and their supplies and their praying, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell the chaplain later. I said, all the armies that have ever gone through Europe have had pestilence and disease following them all the way through. The reason we haven't is because the people back home are praying for our men and women in uniform, and they're praying that God will be with them all the way through. And I totally believe that the reason we haven't had the problems that other armies had is because we have lots of prayers coming up. So you tell the people back home to pray.
Yes.
We are fighting for religion, we're fighting for freedom, and we're going to exercise it while we can. So you have them pray for our soldiers, and since I stand out good with the Almighty, if they pray, He'll hear our prayers.
Thank you.
By the way, he actually said that. And he said it later when the prayer was being manufactured during the Battle of the Bulge. And he knew that the people were praying back home. And he went to church every Sunday that he could. And he would get down on his knees and he would pray. And he would humble himself and ask for the Lord to help him. But he knew he couldn't do it by himself. All right. Now, are we done with those? Okay. It's your turn. Here I am. I probably know more about General Patton than any man alive. That's not a brag, it's just that I got so much crap up here I got to get it out. So, if you have questions, I'll be asking them. Yes, sir.
No, all these kids we killed, we just put we all salute, dog. We're not supposed to be doing this. What? Put a flag up. What we're going to do? Help the people. We're all going to salute. We're all going to help the people. We're going to help them out.
All right. Any other questions? Over here. I got him first. What?
What's the significance of the pearl handle bolts?
Pearl handle! Didn't you see the goddamn movie? Pearl handles, they're ivory. Only a Tiffany or his whorehouse or a tin horn would wear a pearl handle. These are ivory. You know, we're going to sit you at home and make you see that movie 4 or 5 times more. Jeez. Of course, he knew that. Yes, sir.
All due respect, General, World War I, did you or did you not get shot in the keister? That's your first Purple Heart.
I got shot in the ass, it hurt.
How many children did Patton have, and like what, did they have any military service themselves?
Yes, he had 2 women, 2 girls, and a boy. Beatrice, Ruth Ellen, and George Jr. George changed his name later. George III, I'm sorry, he changed it to George IV. The 2 ladies were married to career officers, 2 daughters. One of them was Waters, and Waters was the one captured in North Africa. He was a colonel. He later rose after the war to a 4-star general. Ruth Ellen Totten, who was his youngest daughter, her husband rose to a 4-star general, and his son, his namesake, rose to 2-star spot as a colonel in Vietnam, and later retired as a 4-star, as a 2-star general.
Wow.
Isn't that something? And the grandchildren today still honor the family, and they go to military meetings and they honor the veterans just as he would have done. So the Patton family in general has been a great boost to morale for several generations now. Yes, sir.
What was Patton's role in the bonus marchers under McCarthy?
During the bonus march, if you don't know what the bonus march was, the veterans of World War I were upset, and they wanted their pensions early, and they marched on Washington, D.C., and they put up a tent city. Patton was assigned to the 3rd Cavalry at Fort Myers, who did a lot of the funerals, and he was given a detachment of men to go and ordered MacArthur to clear out the bonus marchers, which he found detestable, but he was ordered. And that was the only time I know the Patton saber was actually used. He told them to draw their sabers because he knew that the soldiers would respect the steel blade, but he said don't stick them with it. So what they did is they popped them in the butt with them to move them along like a stick. And that was probably the last time the Patton saber that he designed was used, and they later took it out of service. There's a lot of controversy about that. MacArthur was exceeding the orders. He was told not to do what he ordered to have happen. And that was one of the problems with MacArthur, is that he did what he wanted to do, not what he was told to do by the president. Yes, back here.
General, what are your feelings about General Montgomery?
You know, it's said that I never lost a battle, and I can say I don't think he ever won one. He always stopped short and left somebody there to clean his mess up.
You know, I think I know where General Montgomery is today, so maybe I can talk him into coming over.
Let's not. Just tell him that he's busy. Anyway, he failed at Operation Goodwood. He failed at Operation Market Garden. He failed during the Battle of the Bulge. In fact, it got so bad he pissed Eisenhower off. Eisenhower wrote a long letter to Marshall saying either he goes or I go. That's how pissed off that he had made the entire army. And Montgomery's chief of staff happened to be in Montgomery's headquarters at the time and saw the letter. He, in winter, took a train, then he took a truck, and he got to Montgomery and said, you need to back off, you're fixing to lose your job, because they knew how Marshall would rule. And so Montgomery acquiesced a little bit, but he still couldn't keep his mouth shut. So as soon as they could and they got across the Rhine, they took the 9th Army away from him. So now he only had the Canadians and the British, and they were up north, and they were just trudging along, and we finished the war. That's how mad he made the entire Allied command. So when you, like I said earlier, the people that here, people who write their memoirs later make themselves look like, and also a lot of the TV movies or the documentaries you see, they're made by the British. So they always put Monty as doing something worth doing, which he never did. All right. Yes, sir, back here.
What role did he play in capturing Pancho Villa?
The Army never got Pancho Villa, but during the punitive expedition, Patton heard that there was possible 2 of his lieutenants there, a man named Gardenius. He didn't know at the time. He got there and they were having a fiesta and they were cooking, and he realized something was going on. He was in touring cars. I'm making this quick. And so they saw him coming and they started to run. He pulled his pistol out. He shot one of them off the horse, and then they shot him. Another one came running down the side and they shot him. They put 2 of them on the back of their touring cars, took them to Pershing's headquarters. Mind you, they were in front, on the hood, and dropped them off, and he also had one of their saddles. And the press was there, and it made national news. So that was the first time Patton got any national news. He killed 2 of Pancho Villa's men. Pancho Villa escaped the punitive expedition, but Patton at least 2 that were killed. And he put 2 notches on his gun. And when you go to the Patton Museum and you see the original, or this one that I have in my hand, it has 2 notches. Yes.
Details on your death.
Details on the gun? All right.
On your death.
Oh, his death.
How did you die?
All right. This will take a minute, so this will be the last question. How many of you think he was murdered? How many of you think there was a conspiracy to murder him? He was not murdered, nor was there a conspiracy to murder him. Anything belief of that is pure baloney, and I'm going to tell you what happened. He was sorely pissed. He was leaving the Army. He wasn't going to retire. He was going to resign so he could finish his memoirs. And he was due to leave on the Sunday, or Monday. So the Saturday, that night, he got together and his chief of staff said, what do you want to do tomorrow? Why don't you relax? Why don't you go pheasant hunting? So they talked about it to the late at night. So the next morning, when Horace Woodring, his driver, got there, who didn't know where they were going, said, I want you to fire up the Cadillac, and we're going to take the dog, and we're going to go to Mannheim, and we're going to go pheasant hunting. They didn't know exactly the direction they were going to go to Mannheim, so they took a side road, and they got up. He stopped and saw some castle ruins. He was going to go by a general buddy of his to take him with him, and the general couldn't go with him at the time, so he went on. Hap Gay, his chief of staff, was sitting next to him at the same time. It got cold, and so they made acknowledgement of that, turned the heater on in the back, because the Cadillac had the heater in the front and the back. And so he's sitting in the back, and they're going through Mannheim, and he turns around, and he's talking to Gay, and a deuce and a half, and the deuce and a half is not unknown. It was being driven by a man named Thompson. It made the newspapers at the time. His name was mentioned at the time. When the collision, he was turning into an ordnance depot, and Patton had just come over a train. I've been there. I know exactly what was there. And so the deuce and a half was turning as they came over blindly. He was going about 30 miles an hour or less, probably closer to 20. He went up, he hit the top of the glass partition and had a frame around it. He cut himself all the way to the bone and broke his neck. And when he fell back on Half Gay, he says, I can't feel my hands, move my hands. And Half Gay says, I am moving your hands. So he knew he was paralyzed. So when the MPs heard the crash, they showed up immediately, because this is an ordnance depot. Who the hell did they think was directing traffic in there? The MPs were. So they saw what was happening, and they were going to make a report. Said, no, it was an accident. Patton ordered it. It was an accident, plain and simple. Do not harm those men. They couldn't have done anything but what they did to turn into the depot. So he's taken to the 130th Hospital in Heidelberg. They realized how serious his injuries were. They cut his uniform off. They moved a X-ray unit, which were huge and heavy, from the upstairs down to the downstairs. And they kept him downstairs. I've been to the hospital, by the way. And so they X-rayed him, and they realized, and I've seen the X-rays as well, that his neck truly was broken. But it was broken in such a manner that they weren't sure that the cord was cut. They thought it was, but they weren't sure. And there was a twitch in one of his legs. So they moved him to a downstairs hospital, and they got the very best they could find to administer him. And Colonel Sperling was in the States, who was the Army's very best surgeon for back injuries. They called him, and he was fixing to muster out. And they got him back, and he took Beatrice there, Patton's wife, with him, and they went to the hospital. Patton was a double VIP. He was General Patton, but he was also the highest ranking officer left in the European theater. So he was guarded 24 hours, 7 days a week. They cordoned off the entire hospital with MPs. Nobody was allowed in. They cordoned off the hallway, and he had 2 MPs sitting right in front of his door. Nobody got in or out unless they ordered, and he was never, ever left alone, ever. And when Beatrice would leave, somebody would come in. There was always a nurse with him. He could eat for a little while. He had Crutchfield devices, which are hooks, and they were put in the back of his skull, and he was stretched out, and his legs were stretched out for the idea that they could keep him stable. Just maybe his back wasn't. But that type of injury was almost 99% fatal. The fact that he was still alive. They thought, and for sure back in Washington, he was going to die. There was not much question of it. It was just when. So they didn't want him to die there, because they didn't want him buried in Germany. So they put a plaster cast on him, and he was plaster cast, and he couldn't move at all at the top, and they were going to take him back to America to die. Okay? To die. They knew he was going to die. There was no conspiracy. Beatrice knew he was going to die. But she was reading to him, and he got tired, and he went to sleep, and this was on the 21st of December. And she started to go down the hallway to go to the commissary, and the nurse said, you better come back. And he had quit breathing, and he died in his sleep. She did not order an autopsy because there was no reason to order an autopsy. They knew how he died. Well, he was buried with everybody at the time knowing exactly what happened. There was no conspiracy. There was nobody trying to kill him. Nothing. About 20 years later, there was an OSS officer named Batista who was at a reunion, and he said that General Donovan, who was head of the OSS, had given him $10,000 to kill Patton because he thought that Eisenhower was the dowry would be used to hurt Eisenhower, which was all bullshit. Donovan was friends of Patton. He was a Medal of Honor winner of World War I. They knew each other very well, and they worked together. So the guy was drunk, but he never recanted his story. So they made a book called The Brass Target. Had a guy named Kennedy playing Patton, and it was a farce. And they shot the actor in the back of the head with a rubber dart, and that's what broke Patton's. Yeah, right. And so you have to believe that something was wrong with the window. You know, something wrong with Patton's limousine window. Can you picture that? No. And so that was baloney. And then years later, I helped another one, and then O'Reilly came out with the biggest bunch of crap I've ever read about how he thought a conspiracy was, and because he's on Fox News and he can sell millions of records, millions of books, he put that out. I've read the thing. It's garbage. Now, if you want to read what actually happened, you read Ladislav Farago's book, The Last Days of Patton. He has interviews from the people who were there, and that tells you exactly what's happened. And about 10 years after the movie, George C. Scott agreed to make that one. And it's called The Last. It's a TV movie. You can get it on Amazon. And if you watch that, it is about 97 to 98% correct. So if you want to know how Patton really died, that's how it happened. You hear anything else than what I just told you,
you've heard a bunch of bullshit. They're just trying to sell stuff. That, you know, go make up a story about how Kennedy died, and I bet it'll sell. Just make it up. So go make up a book about Patton. Make it up, it'll sell. But it's not the truth. I've enjoyed you coming out. You've been a wonderful group.
Thanks for everybody. Thank you.
Thanks. And he was a Christian, and his denomination of choice was the Episcopalians. And so he grew up as an Episcopalian, and that's kind of those you don't know, that kind of like passing. And he went to church during the war every Sunday that he could, and he had chaplains and so forth. But he knew the Bible. He really knew the Bible. And he was at one service, and the chaplain that was talking didn't know the Bible. And he stood up and he said, "Wait a minute, that passage doesn't say that." And he says, "Do y'all have a Bible?" Well, we'll search around for it. He says, "If I remember correctly, that passage says," and he quoted the whole passage in context. And they went and got the Bible and he looked and he go, "Yeah, you're right." Now, I'll tell you why. Now, this is something that's not normally known. Patton had a photographic memory. He could read something and remember it. So when he read the Bible, he could bring it up in his mind and he could go through the scriptures because he had read them. It was the same thing with all of his military history stuff. Young lady, if he met you today, what's your name?
Sue.
Sue? Sue? Okay, he would be at a briefing and he met this lady named Sue. 10 years from now, he would say, "Sue, you were at my briefing and you were with another fella and you were wearing an army fatigue shirt and some camouflage pants." He would remember what you said. And it just blew people away. Now, the way he had fun with it is he studied maps all of his life. All of his life. And so when he was in an area where a battle had taken place, he could tell you exactly what battle it was. Whether the Carthaginians or the Romans or the Greeks, it didn't matter. And then they would say, "Oh, how do you know all that, General Patton?" "I was there." And they thought, and he knew he wasn't reincarnated. He didn't believe in reincarnation. He was a Christian. The Christian belief are not compatible with reincarnation. The Bible says once to die, and then you go to the Lord. You don't get recycled. And you got, if you think about it, what lifetime would Christ have died for your sins? He wouldn't have died for all of them in each one of the lifetimes. So it's incompatible. So if you're a Christian and you understand that, then you realize that he was a Christian, he really didn't believe in it, but he had so much fun making other people think that he did. You didn't know that, did you? You know, when you studied him as long as I have, I've really gotten to the guy's head.
Yeah.
So,
or vice versa.
Or vice versa, that's true. My wife passed away and I have a girlfriend, and she visited the house for the first time, and she looked around and she says, "Denny, is there any room in here that doesn't have something to do with Patton?" I said, "No." Things are beginning to change at home.
Yeah.
So you understand that, don't you?
You must have married her.
So, are we out there?
They're getting ready.
All right. This is my chief of staff, Alan Jones, and he plays the part of General
Hugh Gaffey.
Hugh Gaffey, and I just went through losing my wife. She had cancer, and so when you have under that much stress, it takes a little while to come out from under it. So if I have a little trouble remembering a word or two, y'all just bear with me. So I'm going to turn it over to my chief of staff, and I'm going to pretend like I wasn't here and make an entry a little bit later.
Damn, I got drafted in 72 and I'm getting drafted again.
He's called you a crazy bastard. You called him an anarchist.
Oh, you're talking Bill Mauldin?
Yeah.
Mauldin was a young man, very young. He had served in North Africa, and his cartoons became popular. They liked the way he drew his cartoons and what he said. So it got into Stars and Stripes.
Right.
And the Stars and Stripes enjoyed his cartoons. The problem is that the Germans were getting his cartoons as well, and they were convincing their German army that the soldiers were not look what they looked like. And not only did that information come to Patton, it came to General Lee and it came to some others. And so they decided that they would see if he'd go report something else, and so they sent him to go to the Battle of the Bulge. Now Mauldin did not dress like he was supposed to. He knew what he was supposed to dress like, and he commandeered the Jeep, and he went down. Instead of going to where he was assigned, he went to Paris. He didn't go to the Battle of the Bulge. As soon as he got into Paris, he was arrested, and he was brought to a brigadier general there, and said, you know, you're in a world of shit. Not only are you AWOL, and are you out of uniform, and the MPs want to put you in the brig forever, Patton doesn't want you around either. He wants to put you in jail. So he got with some of the people of the Stars and Stripes. Now, there was 2 or 3 people who were reporters in the Stars and Stripes that had political ties to, I can't remember, there were 2 publishers who owned publishers, and one of the publisher's wife was a congressman. Luce was her name. And so they began to pull strings. And so they got with Beadle Smith, and they got with Patton's aide-de-camp. He's a naval attaché that was part of Eisenhower's staff. And so his name will come to be in a minute. He called and said, I'm going to have you a meeting, and he came and talked to him. And so he got on the phone, and Patton was on a vacation trip in Paris, and they got Patton on the phone. He said, I want you to, this is him talking, he said, I want you to have a meeting with Mauldin. He said, you tell that little son of a bitch, if he gets anywhere close to my headquarters, I'm going to put his ass in jail. He says, no, sir, you don't understand. We want you. Though then now he's speaking for Eisenhower. When Patton got back to his headquarters, they said, okay, we'll see him. And so Mauldin came to the headquarters, and Mauldin put this in his book. So he told a lot about it. But it wasn't exactly as accurate as Mauldin wanted to say. There were several drawings that he had made, cartoons, that were found highly offensive to not just General Patton, but to many of the General Command. And Patton had decided that the Stars and Stripes would no longer be given to the troops because of Mauldin's cartoons. So Eisenhower didn't really see a commanding general can tell you what can be published in Hit Army and what can't. So now the Stars and Stripes are now being banned in 3rd Army. None of them could be done. There also was a group, it was also published in the States as well, a different thing, but same state. So what he did is that got to Eisenhower, says that's fine. We'll move the Stars and Stripes to Schaeff level. That meant they answered to Eisenhower's staff, so now they could be published anywhere. So they got published that way. And Patton and Mauldin never did see eye to eye, but Mauldin was AWOL. He was given aid and comfort to the enemy by his cartoons as far as the generals were concerned then. You see, so that's a story that's not known very well. If you'll buy my book, I have the photographs and I have all that information in there exactly as I told it. So this business of Mauldin's cartoons were not a problem. They really were. In fact, he'd even pissed a French general off who wanted to challenge him to a duel and kill him. So Mauldin's cartoons, though funny, they also, Lee had troops coming in that were dressing like what they had saw in the States. They had their helmet curls and they looked bad and they looked like they were trying to pretend to the soldiers when they were coming in that they were combat troops even though they were new. Nobody dressed that way unless you were way out in the middle of the front and couldn't get back. So these guys would come in as recruits looking like Mauldin's Joe and Willie, and they were immediately dressed down and some of them were arrested. All because of Mauldin's cartoons. Because the people, the recruits in the States wanted to be accepted. You didn't haven't heard that part of the story, had you? All right. Now, you see, I know.
I know he's more scared of your dog.
He was scared of the dog. You read the same article too that I did. Right, see,
I have to bring this up because it just annoys the heck out of me.
What I was talking about of trying to stump the Patton. But you didn't make it. You tried. It was good. All right. Listen, I've enjoyed you coming out. I'll stay a little bit longer if you want to ask questions. I know some of you are tired. We'll go on for as long as you like. But that really concludes what we're doing. What o'clock for civilians? Military personnel tomorrow. Tomorrow. You come back tomorrow just to see this again.
Oh, you did good.